Hello, this is Cynthia at Mountain Accents, bringing you my September makes, and also mentioning another make that I made, I think, at the end of August that I just forgot to mention. But I'll first start with what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a toaster sweater, Sew House 7 toaster sweater, version A. This is my second toaster sweater I've ever made. And this is a beautiful, I can't remember if you call it soft sweat or French terry, but it's got the little fluffy inside sweatshirting that I got from Andrea and Karis at Beyond the Pink Door with these cherry blossoms. And it's my favorite toaster sweater that I've made to date. And yeah, it's a great pattern. It's got a nice size range. It goes from, for this version, bust size 37 inches to 51 inches. Waist goes from 23.5 inches to 37 or 39.5 inches. Hip of 34 to 50 inches. So that's pretty good size range. My measurements put me between a size large and extra large, but I made a straight large, and it fits great. So I was a little more productive in September than I thought I would be, and I wanted to make up the fabric from the Think Pink subscription box number 6, which is that was the pretty viscose fabric, and I made a the Friday Pattern Company Wilder gown, and it is classified as a beginner level sewing pattern. Now, I have made the Wilder top a couple of times, and the first one I made was too small. Not much, I mean, it fit, but I just felt like I didn't have enough ease. So I actually gave it away as a gift, but I French seamed it, and I also made another blouse, and I French seamed it, and made it size large, and it fit great. And I actually have plans to make another blouse, but this time I made the dress, and I made a straight size large, but it has a very inclusive size range. It goes from bust 32 all the way up to 54 inch, waist 24 inches to 47 inches, hips 34 inches, 57 inches, and yeah, it does require for more fabric for the long length. That's what I would have liked to have made, is this long version, but with the 2.5 meters of fabric, I couldn't make my second tier this long. I was limited, so I think I ended up with about 4.5 inch bottom tier. And I also added waist ties to mine, and let me show you the dress. So this is the dress, and I really love the neckline with this tie, and I've had ready to wear tops that had this kind of a keyhole with a tie that I always really liked wearing, and so I like being able to make one of my own. But now on this particular one, but just because of time, and I just used my serger overlocker to finish my seams instead of French seaming this. And then here is that bottom tier. See, it's very short. So I had hoped that I would have it at least to my knee, because I knew I wouldn't have enough fabric to do below the knee or midi length. But this is slightly above my knees, but it looks fine with tights. I mean, I could even wear it with bare legs if anyone can stand to look at my white legs. But so when I first made it, I made like super long waist ties, and I tried wrapping it around the front and then back to the back and tying it, but I just didn't like that look. And I tried also wrapping it around and then bringing it back to the front and tying it to the front, and I didn't like that look either. So I shortened the ties to where I just do a loose tie in the back, and I think that gives it a much cleaner look when it hangs on me, and it still has a little bit of a flowy boho look without cinching in the waist too much, but giving a little bit of cinched in, being a little cinched in. So yeah, this was a beautiful fabric to work with. It's viscose twill, and I have decided, I think, of all the viscose fabrics that I've used before, which I have used, I don't know if you say it, chalice, rayon chali. I've used that before. I've used just regular thinner viscose, but the viscose twill is, I think, my favorite to work with of the viscoses. My make that I don't have it with me, that I gave as a gift, that I made at the end of August or early September, was a Love Notions t-shirt. And I'm trying to figure out which way is the right way up, but I made a Love Notions t-shirt for my sister-in-law out of this doggy paw fabric, and she loved it. It looked really cute on her. And also this month I made, I wanted to try out the Friday Pattern Company, the sports shorts. So here's the pattern. It's a PDF, and it is one that you can get for free, or you can pay $2, I think it's $2, $4. There's several different increments of payment that you can make a donation. And so I opted to pay for it because I could afford it. But for those that can't or need a free pattern, it's an awesome free pattern. And I've already got another pair cut out. I'm just haven't picked out my bias binding for the next pair, but I've got the main fabric cut out. And I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. But here's my sports shorts, and I used to use some scrap fabric, and this is just I think it's the quilting cotton with white, pink, and green. And then I have this paisley multicolored cotton lawn that I use for my bias binding. And I know I've told you in previous videos that I hated doing bias binding, but to be honest, with the way the Friday Pattern Company does the binding on these shorts, it was a very enjoyable process, and it wasn't hard to make either. But once I have a bias binding little gadget that you can help make it with, but I chose to I cut it on the bias, but I folded it in half, ironed it, and then I folded it into the inside and folded it and just did it completely by hand. But I like the way they put it on the fabric, because you wrap your bias binding and kind of hug the fabric underneath and then stitch it in place. And I actually like that way of applying it better than stitching it on and then folding it under and stitching it again. I liked wrapping it. And so I may try that particular method if I want. I'm thinking about trying a blouse with an exposed bias binding around the neckline, because I think that would look really nice. Of course I may do matching bias binding, but I might actually try it with a contrast, but that looks really cute. And hang on just a second. Go ahead. I'll edit it out. You want to say hey?
No.
You sure you don't want to say hey? You can see my dog Pepper in the background too. But my son just came through, and he wants me to edit him out, and I may or may not. So anyway, back to I forgot to mention on the shorts, Friday Pattern Company has a very inclusive size chart for it. It goes from extra small up to 7X, which is, again, that 24-inch waist to a 53-inch waist, hip of 34-inch hip to a 63-inch hip. And so it's very inclusive. And even though it has a good deal of ease built into the pattern, I chose for the sports shorts to make an extra large, because I want them to lounge around the house in, and I want them to be extra super comfortable. And so yeah, I did that. And I forgot to mention that they give recommended lengths for the waist, the elastic in the waist. and it said, or you can wrap your elastic around your waist at your comfort level and cut it that length, and I chose to do that instead of going by the recommended length in the pattern. I just tested it on me to where I thought it, and I love the way they look, I love the way they feel. And I didn't take any pictures of me wearing these to insert because you don't want to see my white legs, but I will try to insert pictures of the other things that I show you today. So next up, which you've probably already seen it if you watched my Sew Purple to End ALZ 22 challenge, I made my first Helen's Closet pattern. I made the Gilbert top. I've seen other people make it, and I've seen, I think it was Michelle from the Sun Bunny made like the little tie front Gilbert top, and I'm pretty sure I've seen some other people make it too, but I really liked that version. I kept thinking, well, I'd make that particular version. However, my fabric was very fall looking, so I opted to go with the long sleeve version that's pictured here. And Helen's Closet has a good size range on their, they have a B cup size range as well as a D cup size range. So the B cup goes from 0 to 22, which is a bust of 31 to 48, waist of 24 to 40, and hips of 33 to 50. And their D cup size range goes from 12 to 30, which will take you on up to a bust of 58 inches, waist 48, hips of 58. And it's drafted for a person that's 5'6", which is my height. And yeah, this was a very enjoyable sew. The instructions are well written. I had trouble with just, I made a straight size 14, I think. I didn't mark it on here, but I'm pretty sure it's straight size 14. And I know I had someone comment on my other video. I'm going to try to show you a little picture about that. I've done a couple of like button-up shirts with the collar, even the collar with the collar stand. And I've done shirts with like the double yoke in the front and the back, but I have never constructed one quite like this where, let me show you. So on this one it has a facing on the inside that goes around the front, but in the back there's actually another yoke piece. And so when it came time to construct the shoulders and the way they attached finish the seams on attaching this collar and stuff, it was a little different from what I've done before, and a little bit of a head scratcher when I first read the instructions. But then like sometimes I just stepped away from it and came back, and then it made more sense, and I looked at the images a little bit more carefully. And so I'm going to try to show this. So you can see that your collar, and this is the neckline of the shirt, and then you got your front shirt here, but you're like matching up your collar to the front all the way around the back here, but then you roll it up to where your facing pieces are out, and you nest that, I still don't know if I'm making any sense, that collar inside of this burrito, and then you stitch it down, and it gives you the clean finish at the top of your neckline here. Because a lot of the collars before that where I've done it, it's like you might a burrito method with the yokes, but then the collar you would end up having a piece that you'd fold under, and then after stitching the ditch or top stitch from the top to catch that and sew it down to get a clean finish. But this actually enclosed that seam in the neckline, and I added my little Rosy Cheeks label, made in me time. So this was the Helen's Closet Gilbert top. So I already have another one of these cut out, a short sleeve version, and a pair of the sport shorts in the Think Pink Sewscription Box fabric that came last month, the seersucker. On the Helen's Closet pattern, when it talked about recommended fabrics, seersucker was one of the recommended fabrics. It said that use woven fabrics with no stretch, such as linen, cotton, lawn, poplin, seersucker, double gauze, and shirting, silk, null, cotton and linen blends, or cotton hemp blends. And I thought, so I'll try that with the seersucker. But because the seersucker is a little stiffer, I am going to leave off the interfacing for that. And I'm still trying to figure out what to use for my bias binding for the sports shorts. I would like to be something that would coordinate, either a blue or a green, that would coordinate with the colors in the seersucker fabric that I got, and I didn't bring any of it outside to show you. So you'll just have to wait till I get those done. They're cut out, but they may not get sewn this month. It may be next month before they get sewn. So the other thing that, well, let me mention, I mentioned it in I think my last video, that I got my Singer Quantum Stylus sewing machine back. And so the repairman did recommend that in the future that I use Schmidt's needles for that particular machine, and not use any of the machine needles that has like the color coding on the top, because I guess the metal is a little different. And he said that the Schmidt's needles or the other needles that don't have that color coding just work better in it, and that's the reason, he thinks that's the reason that particular part that broke on my machine broke. But I got it back and it sews like brand new, which it was virtually a brand new machine anyway, because I just got it a year ago. And so I was able to do my buttonholes for my Gilbert top on that, and I also was able to finish my next make. And I think I'm going to do a separate video that'll be a little bit more in depth about this one, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you a little bit. And I had to do some conversion on this one because it is the Atelier Jupe Tilde shirt dress, and so a lot of their measurements are in centimeters, and I work in inches. But it does go from a UK size range of 6 to 22, and I made a straight size UK 14, which my measurements, I just wrote down the bust for my size, but it put me around a bust of 39.37 inches for actual waist, 33.07 inches for the waist, and a hip of 42.51 inches for the hip. That's the actual. And then with the finished garment measurements for size 14 now is about almost 46 inches for the bust. Waist measurement is slightly over 43 inches, and a hip measurement is slightly over, or nearly 52 inches. So yeah, I have become a fan of Atelier Jupe patterns. This is my second pattern that I've made of theirs. I've tried the Frida blouse, and I'm looking forward to trying more of their patterns, because I have found that their drafting is excellent, and their block, I think, just suits me. So let me show you the dress, and then like I said, I'm going to do a separate video that goes more in depth and tell you my thoughts as a beginner on the instructions and on just making the pattern, and yeah, what I think about it. But as far as the finished product, I love the finished product. So it does have a long belt, so I'm going to just remove that while and this I forgot to tell you that on my Gilbert top, I can't remember where I purchased the fabric from for that one. It was either Sewing Studio in Oregon or Stonemaker Fabrics. But this fabric is a beautiful chambray that I purchased it from Cali Fabrics. And they have, I think, a brick and mortar store in California, but I ordered from their online shop. And I've just ordered a few things from them before, but I've been very happy with everything that I've purchased. But I've mainly purchased, I think I've purchased the knit fabric and then chambrays. But I put a little label in here that says one of a kind. And this has a double yoke, has a button placket with, and it's very long, and no center seam, and 10 buttons that goes down the front, and then it's open from the bottom part. Now the part that I was going to go ahead and mention in this video, and I had trouble with the neckline, and part of it is, so you're interfacing one piece of the collar stand and one piece of the collar, but not the other. So when it came time for me to sew those together, they were the one that was not interfaced had stretched out just a little bit, and then when I was trying to attach to the neckline of the shirt, or the dress, I mean, and this is one of those that you do tuck it under when you finish also, and stitch in the ditch or stitch it down, and it's not perfect, but I mean, I worked with it, but I don't know if you can see it right here. I've got a little pucker, and it just happened to fall right in the center of the back, and so it causes like a little tiny pinch pleat here. I don't know if you can see that or not. I can't really tell if it's showing up. And I've debated on whether to unpick it and try to fix it. And to be honest, I was afraid that I'd make a bigger mess of it if I did unpick it. So I opted to leave it in since it was in the center. If it had been on one of the, like on the side or something, I probably would have. But with it being, yeah, pretty much in perfect center of the back, I left it. But I think on my next, the next time I make this, I may use like extra light interfacing and interface both pieces, or if it's a stiffer fabric, it is just not to interface it at all. But I'm hoping that I can make my next version out of a viscose twill or something. Yeah, I was thinking about a viscose twill is what I'd like to do, that I might just use like a very light interfacing on both. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, I will tell you more about that in the next video. So that's all I have for you for my September makes. I hope you're having a great day. I hope the lighting's not been too bad. I had to move my position because it was very cold when I came in from church. And then I come set up my stuff and the sun came out and was blinding me. So I moved the table into the shade. So anyway, I hope you're having a great day wherever you're at. Take care. Bye.